Good evening and welcome to Clarvex News.
Tonight, a political question is gaining attention across Westminster and beyond.
Did the Labour Party just refuse to commit to holding a general election in 2029, or is the story more complex than the headlines suggest? In this report, we break down what was actually said, what UK law requires, and why this moment matters for British democracy. The debate began after recent media interviews and parliamentary comment is where senior Labour figures were asked directly about committing to a general election in 2029. Rather than giving a clear yes or no answer, Labour representatives emphasised governing priorities, long-term stability, and adherence to existing constitutional frameworks.
This cautious response quickly sparked political debate, with critics suggesting Labour was avoiding a direct commitment, while supporters argued the comments were being misinterpreted.
Under UK law, general elections must be held at least every 5 years, unless Parliament votes for an early election under exceptional circumstances. That means if Labour were to win the next general election, the expectation would be that another vote takes place by 2029. However, Labour's reluctance to explicitly state a date has raised questions, even though the legal framework already sets clear limits.
Opposition parties were quick to respond, accusing Labour of avoiding a straightforward answer on a fundamental democratic issue. Critics argue that any hesitation around election timing risks undermining public trust and fuels unnecessary moves. Labour supporters, however, insist the party has not challenged the law and that the comments were focused on stability
rather than election dates.
Under UK law, a general election must be held no later than 5 years after the previous one. This framework was reinforced after the repeal of the Fixed-Term Parliaments Act, restoring the Prime Minister's ability to call an election earlier, but not later. In practical terms, this means any government,
including a Labour-led one, would be legally required to face voters by 2029.
Opposition parties were quick to respond, accusing Labour of creating unnecessary uncertainty around the
democratic process. Labour supporters, however, argue the party is simply avoiding political traps and focusing on policy delivery rather than election dates.
For many voters, the controversy highlights wider concerns about transparency, trust and accountability in...
Under UK law, a general election must be held at least every 5 years, unless Parliament votes otherwise in exceptional circumstances. This means any government elected in 2024 would normally be expected to face voters again by 2029.
However, political language can sometimes blur legal obligations with campaign messaging, leading to confusion among the public.
Legal experts stress that no major party can simply cancel an election without parliamentary approval.
Opposition parties were quick to seize on the comments, accusing Labour of creating uncertainty around the democratic process.
Labour sources later clarified that the party remains committed to democratic norms and the rule of law. For many voters, the episode highlights growing mistrust toward political messaging rather than a genuine constitutional crisis.
Clear commitments on elections are central to public confidence in Britain's democratic system. Under UK law, a general election must be held at least every 5 years, unless Parliament is dissolved earlier.
There is currently no legal proposal to delay or cancel a 2029 election.
The controversy stems from political messaging and interpretation, rather than any formal constitutional change. For now, Britain's democratic timetable remains unchanged, but clear communication from political leaders remains essential. For verified updates and balanced political analysis, this is Clarvex News.